So welcome to the last lab of day 1, that is lab 20, reusability with Angular. Now via this lab, we would like to understand the importance of Angular reusability. If you remember, we had created this customer view model function, and this customer view model function was nothing but it was a bridge between the view and the model. So it had all the gel code which can connect the JSON object and your HTML UI. And unofficially we named this customer view model function as a class so that we can understand better, right? Now if this customer view model is a class, then I should be able to use this class not only in one page, but I should be able to use this customer view model function across pages. Means, for example, at this moment this customer view model is right here inside this enter customer.cs HTML, but it is very much possible that I would like to take this class and reuse it in some other place if I wish, right? So how to achieve that? So if you remember, we had two screens created for our customer application. So one screen was the data entry screen, and this screen is using that customer view model class, right? And the second screen here is a search screen. So what we would like to do is we would like to take that customer view model class what we have created, and we would like to reuse that same logic of color coding and everything in this screen here. So in other words, now we would like to take that customer view model function from this UI and put it into a central place so that we can reuse it on this screen and we can also reuse it on this screen. So the first logical step would be to take this class from here and move it to a separate JavaScript file. So let us go to our solution explorer here. So let us go to our solution explorer here and let us add a JavaScript file here called as customer.js. So I'm going to go and add a new item here. So add a new item, customer.js, a separate JavaScript file here. So I'm going to go and select this JavaScript file. I'm going to name this JavaScript file as customer.js, right? So let me go and click on add. So in this JavaScript file, we are going to go and take this function out from here. So I'm going to do a control X from here, and I'm going to go and move this thing over here, right? So you can see now this complete function is now in a very separate file here, and we should be able to reuse this function now across pages. And in the customer.cs HTML, I'm going to go and add a reference of this JavaScript file. So I will not be going and copy pasting the code again and again across pages. So I'm going to just go and add a reference to this customer.js, right? So you can see now I have just moved this whole code centrally in a separate JS file, and in whichever screen I want, I can just go and drag and drop this customer.js or the class file, and I can go and use the ng controller and create instances of object of that class and reuse it wherever I want it. So let us quickly go and just test our enter customer.cs HTML screen once. So just to check that if this thing is working. So I've done a control F5 here. So there our page is running. So let me just click on this add new customers here just to check. Great. So you can see now the code is working as it was working before, but internally this customer view model class is now in a separate file, right? So now we want to go and use this same function in our search file here. So if you remember, we had this search view, right? Search customer. So inside this, I want to go and reuse the same Angular class, right? So first thing is, let us go ahead and drag and drop Angular. So we need to first go and add reference to Angular here. Second is we need to go and add reference to our customer class here, right? So these are all standard steps. And also remember, we need to go and create the app object and the controller object, right? So again, this code I'm going to go and copy paste and paste it here. If you wish, you can also go and move this code as well in a centralized JS file, and you can reuse it, right? But at this moment it is just 2 lines of code. I've just copy pasted it. Great. Now this search customer screen here actually goes and searches by customer name. So if you remember right, in the customer controller, we had a function here called as search customer, and this search customer was actually searching by customer name. So we have two functions here. One is this get customers, which actually goes and returns all the customer, and then we have one more function here called as search customer, which actually goes and searches by customer name. Now what we'll do is let us go and improve our code structure here, because this naming convention does not look good, right? You have get customers and then you have search customers. So how about going and creating an overloaded method? How about saying that, okay, this is get customers. So if you do a get customers, it will actually give you all the customers. And if you go and call get customers by customer name, so in other words, how about going and creating an overloaded method so that we can get better organized here. So you can see here I'm saying get customers, this will give all the customers, and then I'm saying get customers by customer name, which will give me actually customers, depending on the customer name what is entered from the screen. And because this is going to do a search on the customer name, right, we need to go and fire a LINQ query on the entity framework collection, right? So here we have to do something like this. So we have to say here from x in, or I'll say from temp in dial customers. Again, in case you are new to LINQ, I would suggest you to go and watch the LINQ questions and answers video series where we have explained LINQ in much detail. But at this moment I want to go and fire a LINQ query which will search by customer name here, right? So is equal to customer name, right, is equal to customer name, and select temp and just convert it to a list of customer. Good. And if you remember right, in the previous video I explained that the issues of polymorphism with MVC, right? So we need to go and decorate this with action name. So because polymorphism is inside C#, but polymorphism is not on the HTTP protocol, right? So over here I'll say get customer by name. So if somebody wants to make a HTTP call, right, he's going to use this get customer by name, this name, that is get customer by name. Okay, so if he wants to get all the customers, it is get customers. If he wants to get customer by name, then he has to go and make a call to this method name, right? So the polymorphism is only within C#, but the polymorphism is not when you are making a HTTP call. That's why I'm giving this action name over here, right? Good. So looks like we are all set, at least from the controller side. Now we need to go and do changes in our customer view model class, because we have written so many things on the controller side, but on the customer view model class here we need to go and add one more method here saying $scope. So this is going to be again a load method, but this load method will load by customer name, right? So I'm going to go and copy this load method here what we already have, and this load method I'm going to say load by name. Okay, load by name, and in this I'm going to go and pass the cust name. Okay, and here I'm going to go and make a call to this action name here, get customer by name, right? So here I'm going to go and make a call here. Good. Also I was just wondering that rather than passing this cust name variable standalone, how about going and passing this customer object? I know that I won't be filling the customer code and customer amount and color, because what we need for the search is only the customer name. But rather than going and passing these kind of hanging variables, I already have this customer object and this is minded with the text box, right? So rather than using this, how about saying that, okay, just go and pass the current customer object. So I'm going to go and do a var here, var cust search is equal to $scope dot customer, right? And this search I will just pass in this data here. Okay,
Good. Now if we are passing the customer object from here, then in the customer controller we cannot have that single string variable, right? So here also it should be a customer object. So I'm going to go and change this to customer, right? And here I'll say whatever data comes in the customer, use the customer name for searching. Nice. So now that we are ready, the next thing is we need to go and attach the customer view model class, that is this customer view model JavaScript class, to our search customer HTML, right? So let us go here and in the div tag, first thing in the body tag, we need to go and specify the ng app. So I'll say here ng app is nothing but my app. So ng app is my app, and the ng controller, so in other words, go and tie up this customer view model over here. Okay, Control C, Control V, and we don't need this form, action, post, etc. Why? Because we don't want a full post back, right? So we need to go and remove this form. And also this will not be a type submit, because submit actually makes a post back. So this will be a type button, is equal to button. Nice. Also we need to go and bind this text box with the model, right? So remember that in that customer class we have the customer name. So I have binded this text box with the model, and the method which actually loads the customer by name is load by name. So also in the click event, that is by using ng-click, we need to ensure that we call this load by name method, right? Good. You can see now we just include the customer class, we do the binding, and we are done. And that's how you achieve reusability by using Angular. And now the next thing is, in the display customers partial view, right, we will not be using this web grid anymore, right? We want to now use the Angular and browse the collection of the JSON which we are getting from the server. So I will go and comment this. So I'm going to go and comment this whole thing here. Comment. Yeah, there it is. So I'm going to go and comment this, and over here I will say that display the table using Angular, in other words this one. Okay, so if you remember right, when we created the data entry screen, we used that ng repeat to browse through the customers, right? So basically what we are saying here is that go and browse through each one of these customers and display the record. So whatever customers are getting loaded in that customer.js, if you remember, so in this, right, where this customers collection is filling, that customer collection we are displaying it by using the ng repeat tag here. But now this customers collection which you are browsing here can only be reached if you are able to access the scope of the customer view model. In other words, remember that at the end of the day, this customer collection right here belongs to this customer view model class, right? It's a part of this customer view model class. So wherever the customer view model object is available, there only you can go and access this customers collection, right? So over here now in the search customer, you can see that this partial view is getting generated outside the view model scope. So you can see the view model scope of the div is here, the customer view model scope is this, but this guy is getting generated outside. So that would lead to errors, right? So what we have to do is we have to just go and cut this and put this inside this div tag, so that the customer view model is accessible here, right? Nice. Good. So now let us go and run the application. So let us see if this works or not. So we are almost set here. Control F5. So there our application is running. So if I click on search customers, the first thing is it goes and it loads all the customers and displays me. But if I go and search for, let us say, Shivnew, right, it will show me the data regarding Shivnew. If I search for Koirala, it will show me Koirala. And the same customer view model JavaScript class is also used in add new customers. So you can see that here also we have reused that same class, right? So in other words, the other big benefit of using Angular is that you just create the JavaScript class, put it in a central location, right? In a central location means in some kind of a file like this, customer.js, right? And start reusing it across your pages. So this is one more big advantage of Angular. So Angular has two advantages. One is, yes, it's good for bindings. Second one is you just create all those classes, right? JavaScript classes, and use them in whichever page you want. So that brings us to the complete 8 hours of a training, that is 1 day of a training. And what have we achieved in this 1 day? In this 1 day, we have literally achieved a very small customer application screen which has a data entry page, which has a search page, and this application is completely architected in the following way. So we have the HTML, the jQuery and Angular on the client side inside the browser. They are talking to the MVC controller by using the JSON format, and the complete connection of the HTML UI and the controller is done by the Angular classes, that is customer view model. The controller talks with the model on the server side, and the model actually talks with the entity framework classes to do data access layer activities. And this complete application we have secured by using forms authentication. So what we have ended here up is with a very nice enterprise application which is using all of these things together, and it also helps us to understand that how these things are used in live projects. Now in the next video, that is the first video of day 2, we're going to go and take this application to the next level by using something called as Web API. Okay, so the next video is going to be again a big video, because we are talking about porting this complete application into Web API, which is a big change by itself. So in the next video, we'll first try to understand what exactly is Web API, and then we'll try to implement Web API in the project. It would be a great favor to us, if you can go to facebook.com/questpond, and if you can just put a small comment here saying that, okay, I have completed lab 20, okay, or I have completed lab 18, I have completed lab 15, and I'm waiting for lab 21. And if possible, do go and give your feedback saying that, if we can move like this, if we can move like that. So what would happen is, with that, we can take your feedbacks and improve the course accordingly. So keep watching, and hope that you become an MVC professional in 16 hours. Thank you so much.